We might have a little cold last night somehow. This is the finale of Star Trek Starfleet Academy. Yeah, so, it's called Rubincon. It's supposed to be Rubicon. Rubin particles, I think they kind of made that up. They essentially, yeah, okay, so we'll go through the whole thing. Okay. So they're on the other side of this minefield thing. They got to figure out how to disable the mines. And the RAL, it's not the Devanani RAL. That's a guy from something RAL. The rogue guys show up, and Nuss grabs the Captain Ake and the mother and takes him to put him on trial, space trial. Any number of things have, other stories have referenced space trial, so it's not like it's officially like a Canary Space episode that didn't get published. It almost is, but no, it can't possibly be. But they've, if anything, it's sort of the drumhead, the Next Generation, sort of a that. Meanwhile, they have to figure out how to stop the ship from being torn apart. They still have plasma leaks in the future. You think they would have fixed that by now. The Doctor does a bait and switch with the holographic emitter thing to make it look like the bad guys have blown up the ship and there were no one aboard, so that the actual ship, which has been separated, can go to the planet, ignoring the fact that 1/4 impulse power and 1/2 impulse power and 100% impulse power are a little slower than light, and they would never get to where they were going. Oops. Nuss reveals that he was a child on a planet that had a strontium, like nuclear facility, mining facility. Nuclear, so it's like Chernobyl there. Yes, which is in the Ukraine. He's playing that sort of like that kind of thing. Trial seems to concern the glorious man-child character misremembering what happened to his colony when he was a boy, which comes up later in the story. But he's a man-child. It's for the fans that are worried about this show becoming taking sides in the political arena, it's not. In this one, they're clearly spoofing a certain leader, world leader. They're clearly spoofing him, and among other things. So you have the mother, you have the Ake going back and forth about the different people that were lost and stuff, and the Mrs. Muir is guilty of having killed the shuttle pilot, and that's why she was who was going to retire. And that's why she was arrested in the beginning of the story. They didn't reveal that until this episode. It might have helped cement the story to kind of do that. They kind of didn't. Yes, they kind of did, but they kind of didn't. I don't recall if they. They use a lot of the same sets for everything. It's a nice, big, elaborate set. It'd be cool if Trek Yards does a review of the set. Now, some of it's a big screen. Like when they're in the atriums, like it's a big screen. When they're in the other thing, it's a big screen. And the deck class thing is shown from the outside. Is in the neck of the thing. I was right about that. It's in the neck of the saucer. Their walk deck thing is. But it could change next season when they just transform. So who knows? They discover the Doctor, after he transported himself, his emitter is acting weird, and he's saying things like get the glue and the Rubincons and stuff like that. Hence the name of the episode. It's not Rubicon, crossing the Rubicon, it's Rubincon. Yeah, because Rubin particles, which they made up, could stabilize Omega-47. Ooh, so it isn't so much the Kal Kat ending of Kal Kat parody spoof of Section 31's ending, which we spoofed in our fan films, where we just said, oh, it's yeah, their universe-destroying weapon would be instantly stopped. It was more like, oh, they figured out a way to stop it. Yeah. Because it's problematic in the first place. You can't mine the thousands of light years in minutes. Not even in the distant future. That makes no sense. Can't do that. It doesn't work like that. Yeah, so the idea of them having a universe-destroying weapon is ridiculous. So why not figure out a way to break universe-destroying weapon using science? And then have it not be a new threat. And all the fans, all the detractors are complaining about this episode. From the previous one. How are they going to wrap this up? Star Trek Technobabble, of course. Which was my... Yeah, Technobabble's going to solve it. Because they have one episode and they're not going to end it on a downer. And they're going to humiliate the world leader bad guy. Because it's funny. And they're going to kind of do what they did in the Starship Locations extended finale thing with Transformers as well, with the ending being similar to that. Except in that version, Nustifer was a different guy. He was an earlier guy, more of a Q, and he had control over the world leader guy. So it's a different thing, different guy. And he didn't have a universe-destroying weapon. He just thought he did. A little different. Star Trek meets the Transformers 2 and 3. The third one ends with a very similar ending to this. So we give, okay, we're not quite going to do what they did there. We're going to do our own version. So, yeah. The trial and the Captain Aki is guilty, says the mother, and all this other stuff. And then Mir risks himself to go to the shuttle and visit and go to them. He's allowed to go into the base, apparently, because he gave them asylum. Into the ship. It's not a base, it's a ship. There's a lot of bait and switch stuff that if the Ral were actually completely evil, they would just kill him. Yeah, there's a lot of... Yeah, there are some plot problems in there. Also, this episode will not have comments. They will be disabled. So I'm not going to have comments because it's getting haters last episode. So I'm just not going to get comments. This is the end of Starfleet Academy episode, and it's like there's no reason to have... Yeah, I mean, I didn't write it, so... You lectured about a show I didn't write. It's just similar to my fan films because they keep stealing ideas. Here they've stolen a little bit of an Old Distant Cousins episode. Curious Space episode about the trial of Jarjit. And Jarjit is actually the other guy that... Ake is playing the Jarjit character. But yeah, but I don't think they are. I think they just Drumhead and Next Gen and other episodes like that. Yeah, the court martial, that kind of thing. But it's a fake trial. It's a show trial because we discovered that their whole impetus of Nuss's character in this story, this version of Nuss, is that he was wrong. He was a child. He saw bombs exploding everywhere and thought that the Federation attacked him, but it wasn't. It was the strontium exploded, which I think would, that was a little weird. Unstable substance. And based on the color of the explosion. So the Federation uses green and blue, not red. Like, well, maybe they were colorblind. I don't know. No. Yeah, so... ultimately, there are comparisons to the fan films, but that's kind of because they're cribbing from us. We thought of versions of Starfleet Academy years ago. So it's not surprising. It's just a coincidence. I've never worked for Star Trek and Paramount in the current eras. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, there's no reason that I should be compared for. I make fan films. Star Trek and Transformer fan films. And yeah, this is the last review of that series, and the last review of that series in Milpitas, moving it in weeks, and the series is over. Yeah, there'll be other. I think there's going to be one other movie review. I think Project Hail Mary. That pretty much it. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, I'm not going to ramble on about all the other stuff about the season overall. About the comparisons to the silly Trek that get cut out. I think they did a fair job pulling off a sort of Space 90210 thing. I mean, they're not completely incorrigible. It's weird that sometimes the technology doesn't seem to improve much. So yeah, everybody's chewing scenery. It's fun to see Paul Giamatti chewing scenery and Holly Hunter. These A-list actors, or B-list, high B-list actors, going on about their thing, outperforming the young TV group. Yeah, but that's just because they're not experienced yet. There's some goofies. They had a guy who was a Koinonian, who had powers. He could use him, but they didn't really do much. That's the trouble when you have a bunch of people in there. The Klingon did some nurse stuff. Doctor. Yeah. Jet Reno is in there. She's doing that lieutenant thing. She was on the ship with the cadets. Yeah. They figure out that, yeah. They put 47 in everything from Next Generation because I believe it's Rick Berman's dorm room number. That's all it is. They just thought it would be funny to include that. Yeah, it was Rick Berman's dorm room. It could be Pillar, but I think it's Rick Berman. Yeah. Yeah. So Omega 47. What? Did all the other? It's like the Solonate bomb. We got Plan 9 from outer space because the other 8 plans failed. Yes. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And overall, it wasn't terrible, really. The fans were, "Oh, it was awful. It was terrible." It had moments where it actually kind of worked. It wasn't any worse than TNG season 1. Season 1 was pretty bad. But yeah, there were a couple of good episodes, but that was it. Yeah. Deep Space Nine really didn't have a bad first season. It was okay. Ooh. The Voyager was a little weak early on, but then it caught on. Yeah. But yeah, DS9 really caught on in season 4, and Voyager about season 4 as well. But you could do that back then. UPN was separated. And I suppose you want to ask, okay, Skydance, Paramount thing, yeah. And WB, and they took the thing from, WB from Netflix, because they like the current administration, they want to make it more woke, or less woke, I should say. The Ellison brothers and all that. I have no dog in that race, no pony in the race either, so I don't know. But it seems to me it would be a monopoly if Paramount owned WB. Be a monopoly. You can't do that. 2 major studios that have the same streaming services owning each other. This is not going to work. It's a monopoly. That's why Time Warner kind of broke up. Time Warner, and Comcast, and HBO, and all that. Yeah. So yeah, it's a monopoly. They can't do that. And if they just want to do it just to spite the DCEU and have them be like, oh, the Ellison brothers just like they want that Snyderverse back. It's just a Snyder Bro thing. That's probably all it is. James Gunn should stick with it. Because he has kind of his own spin-off there. Yeah, stick with it and just, yeah. Because, yeah, these giant conglomerates buying each other out and buying elections isn't that good. And this episode of Academy makes some fun of, like, fanatical leaders with crazy war ideas. And it directly references He's sort of he's probably supposed to be Putin more than the Donald. But they're kind of playing him on both sides, kind of. And it's supposed to be like a Ukrainian thing because they did name the mother Mir and the other one, Caitlin Mir. Well, so that's Russian for peace. So it's the Ukrainian-Russian war. Is what they're doing. Right there, it's in the story. And Star Trek is infamous for doing stories that connect to other stories. Yeah, the strontium thing mentioned. That's basically, yeah, that's Chernobyl. So like Star Trek 6, many years ago, over 30 years ago, same idea. Chernobyl disaster happened. Yeah, so their super weapon was never going to work because they had to end it in one season, in another hour. So I kind of knew the super weapon wasn't going to work. That's my only claim to it. Is it's not going to work. They're going to have to figure out a way to stop it. Because they got it there so quickly that they could stop it quickly. It's not like the Voyager going thousands of light years away in the caretaker array, which they also should have stopped and just gone back through the wormhole. But yeah, it's more like, okay, they're not gonna like completely devastate the Federation. Also, I liked some of the ships, even though at the end the Federation fleet comes to rescue them. One of them resembles a sort of update of the Voyager, and there's the Nog, and an update of the Kal class or Miranda. It looks like a little bit, and then there's one with wings swept up like this. It's kind of coming in. It's the Chimera. They have a Chimera. That'd be 82405J or something like that. Probably at this point. There was a Chimera in there, so that's awesome. One of the swept up wings going this way, and it's got the wedgy block saucer section thing going on. It's the Chimera. Oh, yeah, awesome. So yeah, they made it a little more streamlined, but that's what it is. The Chimera. Hope the Trek Yards guys do a review of the ships. Anyway, so there's my review and kind of a breakdown of the season. It was fine. It wasn't completely crap. If Strange New Worlds was more of a mess in season 3 because they were acting like cadets. Here they are cadets. Yeah, sure, some of the science doesn't work, but it is fantasy, and I can excuse some of the goofiness and the Bajoran girl being sort of an X-Men character. She clearly, and the other guy, the Klinonian is an X-Men character, but they're also Sicilians. So there you go. She has mind powers. You can melt your mind. What she could have used to just melt that Nuss guy's mind. She'd do that through him. You could have done that, but no, they didn't want to do that. It was kind of repeating themselves. Yeah, and the Koinonia is basically, if she's a Jean Grey type of thing, then a creature, or Professor X Jean Grey type of creature, a little bit of Jubilee and Rogue in there, a little bit of Rogue, not Jubilee, Rogue. Yeah, the psionic guys, a little bit of all those things. Yeah, that's mainly Jean Grey. You have the Koinonia, who's basically either. He's a shapeshifter, so he's Psylocke? Is he is he a little bit yeah, there's like X-Men guys. He's a little bit I'm trying to think of the Russian guy. Black what the fuck is that guy's name? Anyway, so it's more like the blue lady that turns into a blue. Yeah, I think that one. But yeah. So that's fun. Anyway, so yeah, I probably blanking on that, but it doesn't matter. And yeah, they had to solve it and stabilize it, turn it off. Yeah, a particle that can destroy everything is remarkable. A Voyager basically ripped off Marx Cards because he had a particle character that could do that. So yes, the Omega particle is something that Kal Kat thought of, or Marx Cards thought of many years ago. And he's on vacation in Japan right now. He's been to 2 different Gundam stores, and he doesn't do Gundam. I don't either. But they did have some Japanese cats that he saw on the street. Kitty cats, street cats. Yeah, so that's it. I'm not going to ramble anymore. That's it. There.